朗的旗帜王啊，满皇上的徽牌随了整个当朝，金钱看齐，墙上写着秦香莲的30。
Hi everyone, and welcome to 3.26. The new league has started, and my plan for my current main build, which is Vaal Spark, has come to its conclusion. Of course, there's still a lot of stuff to do, mainly crafting the perfect quiver, and some mirror tier items I want to provide to you guys if you are interested in playing this build. But to give you a brief overview, my version of Vaal Spark is actually the version without a helmet, which is using Dance with Death. The main focus of this build is to clear maps as fast and clean as possible while retaining a good defensive line. Many of you surely already know the strength of Vaal Spark, which is to cover a very huge area in damage, and also the additional benefit that projectiles travel around corners. So have a look at some gameplay. As you have seen, the main functions are the two legacy soul catcher flasks, which provide 25 reduced souls per use and of course 40% reduced soul gain prevention. The build juggles between two flasks, one in use and one recharging in the meantime. In addition to that, the build is focused on Pathfinder, which provides increased flask effect. We also take the notes on the tree, but more on that later. Another mandatory item to enable constant Vaal Spark usage is the bow, which also grants reduced souls per use and additional flask effect on the crucible tree. In regards of skills, the build uses of course the version Vaal Spark, but also Vaal Haste. Vaal Haste is a very nice addition and provides additional movement speed and cast speed. To go even faster, the build uses Withering Step, and to jump some gaps, Flame Dash. So let's go over the gems real quick. On the bow, we got Vaal Spark, increased crit, awakened elemental focus support, awakened void manipulation support, then awakened powered, and since we are playing also a quant build, item quantity support. Further, on the chest, which is our main component for our aura gems, we have Haste, more duration for haste to increase the uptime of Vaal Haste, enlighten support, or if you got the money, awaken it, enlighten support, discipline to boost our energy shield, then an empowered support, same thing, if you got the currency, you can use awaken it, empowered support, and withering step. On the gloves, we have wrath, enlighten support, precision, and grace. Precision, as you can see, is not max level, since it's a not mandatory edition. It's of course dependent of our mana reservation efficiency. On the boots we got a nice Abyss socket, Flame Dash, faster casting support, and inspiration support. These gems are optional. If you got further ideas to improve it, let me know. So since we are in the inventory, let's take a look at the gear also. We got a mirror tier quiver, which you can get for a pretty decently low mirror fee. We are using Original Sin, so our damage gets converted to chaos damage. This has many benefits, one of them being that with our amulet, which is also a mirrored amulet, you can find it on TFT or on Settler's Shop, which grants 26 of non-chaos damage as extra chaos damage, which is a huge damage boost. For the ring, I'm not sure if this ring is still available. I think back then I made a mirror copy from TFT. It has also quant, like the amulet. For the gloves, I'm looking to provide the original for you. The main reason for the gloves is the increased quant, the maximum frenzy and curling strike with additional spell damage, and the legacy enchant avoid elemental alignments. You can also use other gloves with a higher energy shield, but I would mainly stick to have at least curling strike on them. Here we got a mage blood with very nice double corrupt. Of course you don't need the 4 magic utility flasks, you can stick with 3 since we are running only 3 magic flasks. And then of course the boots, which are I think also available from TFT. The quiver, as you can see, it's not done yet. This is still the best quiver for Vaal Spark I think out there, but I'm working on a version. I can show you the current state. As you can see, the increased Vaal Spark critical strike chance is a legacy mod, and the crit multi is an essence mod, so to get some projectile speed on it, I spent a good amount of logs, but sadly I haven't hit it yet. Yeah, it's work in progress, and I hope RNGesus gives me some blessings since I already lost 18 logs. But okay, I'll keep you updated, and as soon as I can finish this craft, I will also put it in the mirror shop I will set up for everyone who is interested in also building this build. So let's go over the flasks. Here are of course the 2 legacy soul catcher flasks. The important stat is to get as high roll as possible for reduced souls gain prevention and the increased damage with Vaal skills. These are not cheap, there are a few in my possession, so if you need one, let me know. But there are also, if you keep an eye out, some affordable ones on trade. For the first magic flask, we are using a silver flask for the onslaught, so increased movement speed, cast speed, and also the increased cast speed during effect. Then we get a jade flask to boost our evasion and to grant 40% additional elemental resistance. And a quicksilver flask, you can swap this if you like for some additional defenses, but I prefer like a faster build which clears maps more efficiently. So, what comes next? Let's take a look at the tree. The build is a Pathfinder build, so we take the chance for withering, since we are a chaos build, and branch to the increased flask effect notables. So it's very simple. We are taking also the increased flask effect nodes, the nodes for mana reservation efficiency and non-curse aura increased effect nodes, some crit multi, the frenzy charge nodes, and, which is very important, also the projectile speed nodes, since the projectiles travel faster and have more chance to hit 1 or more enemies. Then for the keystones, we are using a brutal restraint, which grants us the option to choose Dance with the Death. And you might think that skipping the helmet slot isn't worth it, but actually it's a huge damage boost, and there's no helmet out there that I've found which is actually better than choosing this node. Going up, we are using Ghost Dance and of course CI. Depending on your budget, the build uses voices. Luckily I got 3 1-passive ones, but you can also use 3 passive ones or even 5 passive ones if you just want to start out and test. And on each we socket in medium cluster jewels with increased projectile damage, and the main focus lies on aerodynamics and streamlined, which grant additional projectile speed, damage, and of course pierce. So pierce is very important. Since we got big monster packs, our projectiles can pierce through more targets and therefore deal more damage. The build uses Adorant. My goal was to really min-max this build, so it's not build breaking if there are no corruptions on the jewels. You will still be able to clear maps very fast and efficiently. To go over the other jewels, my version uses that which was taken, which has some pretty nice mods, mainly the chance for power charge and frenzy charge generation, and the avoid elemental alignments while phasing. For the watcher side, there are two nearly mandatory nodes, which are chance to evade attacks while affected by grace, and the main focus, gain energy shield per enemy hit while affected by discipline. Since our projectiles hit very often, it's a huge boost for our ES regen, and for the most part the build is very hard to kill then. And then of course the Adorned. Other stats to keep in mind in regards of the jewels are stun avoidance and less curse effect. If you want to have a closer look, of course the link to the POB will be in the video description. And if you got the attributes fixed, you can start to put some tattoos on the tree. To cover everything in this video, let's take a look at the Pantheon panel. My version uses here Soul of Lunaris and Soul of Aberrath. So, to conclude this video, I will put a forum thread where we'll also present the build and the link to my new mirror shop if you're also interested in playing this build and need some items for it. And last but not least, let's have some further look on some gameplay. Enjoy, and see you in the next one.